Hello, everyone. Welcome to EECS1022. Happy New Year to everybody. I hope you had a good break and that we got lots of exciting stuff to learn this semester. However, this session here, I wouldn't teach you anything new. The main purpose for today is to really clarify any doubts you may have about how the course is going to be run, mainly related to all the administrative issues for the course. So I will go over my agenda first. I'm hoping that in the first 30 to 40 minutes, I will go over the syllabus, maybe some little bit introduction about myself, and then also the course. And then the remaining time, we definitely don't need to take the 2 hours for the lecture. It's not really worth it for today because I already released the lab number 0 tutorial videos. And also, I released the lecture week number 1. So those are the main meat that you would like to digest this week. But today, it's just to clarify the doubts. Okay. Let me start presenting my stuff, and then I will try to watch out what you are really asking me in the chat as often as possible, or you can just wait until the end. I'll definitely leave time for you to ask questions, so don't worry. Okay. And I believe everybody can also speak up, so don't worry about interfering or interrupting. Whenever I speak about some administrative points that you might be wondering about, some further questions, please just interrupt. I don't mind. All right, so let's now go over the stuff. Okay, hopefully by 3:15, tentatively, we can finish this and then take some questions. Okay. All right, so I'm your instructor, and how do you call me? So I already introduced myself in the announcement and also in the videos. So feel free to call me Jackie. That's okay. But if you really want to call me other names, that's okay. I don't mind. But Jackie is most preferred. And I think if you got any advice on the course, maybe you got any learning difficulties, or maybe you got any other issues related to your learning about the course, please just speak to me early. I think that the earlier you can reach out to me, the more helpful I could be really to you. All right. And then throughout the semester, please feel free to suggest any ways to help you learning. So I think I will try to record every week the lectures and also the tutorial videos. If you got any suggestion about how I present it, or any other topics you think I should cover, or any other suggestion about your learning, please just reach out to me. All right. Okay. For those of you who might be attending the session, but you may not be registered yet for whatever reason. So I would say to really make sure you don't really fall behind in terms of the learning for the course, I would say you want to send to me by email. You will see my email in the syllabus. I will go over the syllabus in a moment. You please send me your name, your student number, and also your Passport York ID in order for me to add you to the eClass site. Okay, I'll go over the eClass site as well in a moment. And for those of you who haven't really registered in the course yet, you may just want to assume that you actually already register officially, and then keep up with the lectures and keep up with the tutorials, and then just keep up with everything in the course. All right. And then you still want to complete the labs and also the tests. Okay, I'll go over the calendar as well, and then there'll be no extension for those deadlines. Okay. All right. Okay, so hopefully so far it's okay. Yeah, I think you guys might be wondering about something about watermark. So, okay, is this are you guys understand me okay? Is that okay? I hope. I just hope that you can hear me. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no problem. All right, let's go on. Okay, a little bit of friendly notes. I know that since we are running the course completely online, and then so it's really difficult to really speak to you in person. It's not possible. It's not possible to really speak to you in the lab in person as well. So I think that emails might be the best way to reach out to me. I will try to be as responsive as I can whenever you reach out to me. Of course, if you write to me over the weekend, I might be slower in the responses. Hopefully that's understandable. I just want to go over a little bit of rule over here together with you. Okay, so think of me as your friend or your colleague who's helping you to learn. So when you write to me, formality is not necessary. We can just say, hey, Jackie, I got a question or something, right? However, I do expect some courtesy, all right? So I can show you just one example. I don't need to read it out. Just try to be not too rude in the email when you send it to your your friend, right? Whenever you got any question. And this will be a much nicer version over here, right? Again, it's just an example. So whenever you write to me, keep it informal, that's okay, but just keep the courtesy. I'll be much grateful, all right? Just about email. So yep, so whenever you want to, I think that there are several places you can ask me questions. Number one, you can post your questions to the course eClass site. So that will be visible to all the students, not just in section M and N, and also section O as well. So if you got a question about labs, a question about the tutorial videos, feel free to post it there so everybody can also share. Place number two, you can drop by my office hour. So my office hour will start tomorrow. I will talk about it. And also you can join the weekly Q&A. So the weekly Q&A session will be optional, but you're also welcome to join to ask me questions. But if you really want to speak to me in person or to explain things more clearly, you can write email as well. Okay, there are many means to find me. All right, course information. So there are actually for you guys, I assuming that you're section N and section N, right? Two sections. So there are two eClass sites. So one will be, I'm going to make the slides available today after our session, right? So you can find the links as well. So one eClass site will be the common one for all the students in 1022, including your fellow students from section O, okay? And we're going to put syllabus common announcement. So you have been receiving announcement from me as already. So I would say the typical announcement you will receive from this site would be maybe a particular lab is available. If there's any amendments or any correction to some lab instructions, or when the weekly Java tutorial videos are ready. So those are things are shared by all the students. And the course forum as well, I just mentioned. So it will be moderated by me and also my fellow instructor. So definitely post question there, but there are certain rules about the course forum. Please read them. You can see that once you go to the forum page. Read the policy before you post, otherwise it might be removed. Okay. All right, and also lab instructions as well, right? You already can see the lab 0 instruction there. And also programming tests. So there will be two kinds of tests that you will have to take asynchronously, which means you don't really have to just stay for the 90 minutes in a particular time. We do give you some interval to really choose the best. For example, 90 minutes for you to take the test. I'll talk a little bit more about the tests in a moment when I talk about the grading scheme. Right, so let me show you very quickly. So this should be the common, you can see M and O. So that's the common eClass site for everybody. You can see we already got syllabus there. We got the lab 0 instructions and also some information to link to the sites for section MMN, right? That'll be relevant for you. All right. And also submission. You can click on that for submitting it. And schedule lab, we'll make the schedule lab available very soon. So there will be no schedule labs this week. Lab 0 is completely self-guided, but submission will be required by Friday midnight, right? You can see the instruction there. Let me go back. The second, also the exam. We'll talk about exam later. So exam is going to be scheduled by the registrar office later. So exam will also be taken online, and we'll put it available on the eClass site. We'll talk more about exam later, so you don't need to worry. All right, the second eClass site will be for section N and section N only. So I would say this site here is mainly for me to make announcement to students in my two sections only. So it will be announcement for you guys only. For example, I might say the lecture materials for week number 1 is available, and also for today's Q&A session recording is available, and etc. Right? And also written tests. Notice one thing here. So for the two kinds of tests that you're going to take in this course, programming tests will be common to all the students, including section O. And for written tests, they will be taken by section M and N. So you will take the same test. On the other hand, section O student, they take a different version because the two instructors might be covering the materials slightly differently in their pace. But eventually the exam will be the same, right? Just pay attention to that difference. All right, so I think bottom line, please try to check your emails regularly. And then let me show you quickly. So this is the section M and N. eClass site is a different one. Over there, I got a link to the lecture site. I'll show it there, show it to you in a moment. And also there's a Zoom link. So everybody is here. I'm pretty sure you know how to link there, right? There might be more sections here later, but this is the minimum information you will need to know just for MMN. All right. And then let's see over here, anything else I missed. All right. Okay, let me go on. Require study materials. Okay. Let's now talk about so lecture materials, about lecture recording. So there will be no live classes to cover the materials. All the lecture material will be recorded and distributed. I would say, in principle, it will be distributed on Monday. But if I can release them maybe slightly earlier, I will do so. For example, yesterday, I just released it around Sunday midnight, right? Just slightly earlier. For those of you who want to start earlier, I do encourage you to start earlier when they are released. So recordings, notes, slides, example code, all the study materials, they will be public access. So for those of you who might be not registered yet, you can already get access to the lecture site, right? It's completely public. So if I go there, let me show to you. That's the link. I believe many of you have seen this already, but I just want to show for those who haven't seen that. So that's the 1022 lecture site. And then you can see for every week, there's going to be one row in the table with all the materials over here. You can see all the links, right? So once you start the introduction tutorial, introduction lecture video for this week, you will see everything, all right? All right, let's now move on. And the course syllabus is also posted on the lecture site. You can see on the site, you can see the course syllabus over here as well. You can, the same version, okay? I just want to make it more convenient for you. Guys, so far, any question so far? Please just feel free to speak up if you want to, so far. All right.
Excuse me, Doctor?
Yes, go ahead, please.
So basically, you're going to release the weekly lecture materials like the week prior, like maybe like the weekend before, like Saturday or Sunday. And these are the Q&As for set material, correct?
That's correct. So you can you will see the semester calendar in a moment, but you can think about every time. I would say in principle, on the paper, in principle, the due dates for me to release the lecture materials for you will be on Mondays. So early Monday. So once you receive the lecture materials, you got a whole week from Monday until Sunday to hopefully finish about 2 hours of length for the lecture. And then the following Monday, Tuesday, it will be the Q&A session for you to ask questions. So that'll be the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So we're not behind starting.
Yeah, you're definitely not behind. Don't worry.
Okay.
I try to be as careful as possible. I know you guys also got other courses to study. So yeah, hopefully, but I can tell you guys, I can predict what's going to happen. Based on my experience with another third year software design course last semester. I think your fellow students in the third year, they were also very engaged. I think that everyone seems to be okay before the reading week, but after the reading week, people, well, because you're bombarded by all the midterms, all the tests, all the assignments, so everybody seems to be falling behind quite badly. So I would say try to get used to the timing. So the calendar I am going to show to you, it has a very regular pattern for deadlines, for study pattern, and etc. Try to keep it up as much as you can. And then hopefully after the reading week, you can also keep up to it. So eventually, hopefully the course will be smooth for you, right? Anyway, we'll chat.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, guys, as I said, if you want to interrupt, please feel free. It's okay for me. All right, so now, very importantly, I'm just going to go over the course syllabus, okay, with all the information. And then after that, I'll go over a few more slides, okay, and then I'll take more questions for you. Okay, so let me switch to here and then go to syllabus. Okay, so there's a syllabus you can see from the lecture site. You can maybe open that along the way. So I'll go over with you. There might be some paragraph which I don't have to read it together with you. I will only go over the important points. Other policies, you can also read it by yourself. All right. Okay, there's a course syllabus, and that's the syllabus common to all the sections. All right. So we'll go over every section briefly. Okay. Okay, here about the course policy. Okay, the first one here, right, just kept a little bit friendly warning. So basically for every lab that you're going to do and submit, and for every programming test, actually also for the written test, but written tests, I'll talk a little bit more. Written tests are mainly multiple choice. So it's kind of difficult for us to really catch any dishonest behavior, but we try to assume our students are honest. So I think mainly for the labs and also for the programming test, you're supposed to actually work on that on your own, which means you're not supposed to collaborate with your fellow students either in this class or in other classes. You're not supposed to. So what we will do is for labs and also programming test, we will check similarity between submitted code. And if this similarity degree is beyond reasonable, and then TA will bring that to the my attention and also other section instructors' attention. And then if we decide the suspicion is really beyond reasonable, in that case, we might just report to Lausanne for academic dishonesty. But for plagiarism, as long as you do your own work, and whenever you really run into trouble learning, just get in touch with me. That'll be the most effective way to go in a long term. Please don't cut short corners. All right. You can read a little bit more about plagiarism, but I said enough. All right, about online submission and assessment over here. Basically, all the deadlines we set to you are really stringent because there will be you will have to submit through the eClass. So once we set a deadline, so once the deadline has been passed, your submission will be marked as late. In that case, you will either lose mark or you simply just get 0. So that's a policy you will have to respect. So here I mentioned something here. So if you really got any technical difficulty, maybe you're not currently in Canada, or maybe you're in an area where maybe internet may not be so stable, it's understandable. However, we do encourage you to take some proactive steps while seeking assistance. So either locally, or maybe you can get in touch with us earlier so we can see what we can do for you. So please do not just tell me one day before the deadline or one day before the test that things start to fail technically, right? It's not going to be helpful, all right? All right, okay. Yeah, so I think, just mentioned that when it comes to assessment, my #1 priority is fairness for everybody. So we do not tolerate any dishonest behavior, but hopefully everybody's okay. And then similarly, no teamwork. Everything is going to be individual, okay? And for late enrollments, again, you will have to, within week #1, by this Friday, if you haven't really registered yet, it is your responsibility to get in touch with me to add you to the eClass, right? All right, that's a very brief list of policies. There might be more, and then we'll go over that. All right, hopefully that's okay. All right, so now academic integrity. So I think for section 2, I'm not going to waste your time, but I will assume everybody is going to read about section 2 over here. It basically gives you some example about what you should do and what you should not do when it comes to labs, and also it comes to written test and programming test. Basically, the idea would be you're just supposed to work on your own. You're not supposed to collaborate. Even, well, I think for labs, if you really run into trouble, speak to the TA. With all the scheduled labs do not have any prerequisite about registration. You can just go. So in theory, you can go for all the 5 or 6 lab sessions throughout the week to ask TA questions. That's okay. And you can drop by my office hour, or you can even post some questions on the forum to really help you complete the lab exercises. So there's really no point for you to cut the short corner by cheating, right? No point. All right, so I'm going to say everybody's going to be clear about section 2. You can read it. If you got further question about detail, please get in touch with me, right? So I don't need to waste everybody's time right now. All right, section 2. And then let me go to section 3. Okay, again, instructors over here. So I think let me highlight. This is me, okay, your instructor here. If you want to get in touch with me, this will be my email, all right? Again, as I said, I'll try my best to respond to you, but sometimes if we take a little bit longer over the weekend, hopefully that's understandable. And office hour. I'm not exactly sure how well this time might work. So one of your fellow students actually wrote to me their time zone actually wouldn't work for the office hour or the Q&A. I will try to see how the attendance or how people are doing. If you really are in a time zone that simply just cannot attend any of the Q&A or office hour, in that case, I would say all the Q&A are recorded. And also, I'm more than happy to schedule appointments with you. We'll see how that goes in the beginning of the semester. If you really want some extra time from me, please just write an email to me. I will consider. All right. I'll just see how that goes according to the plan right now. For office hour, for now, it's going to be 1 to 2 p.m. And then it's going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Right, 3 days. Not today. Today has gone. So starting from tomorrow, Tuesday, 1 p.m. To really connect, you can, let me show you. You don't need to memorize the link. You can simply go to the lectures page. You will see the Zoom office hour. I even put it there. It's 1 to 2 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Just go there and click on the link. And then if there's no queue, and I will just talk to you right away. If there might be a long line waiting, please just wait. And then depending on how many your fellow students might be in front of you, so please just wait. Okay. All right, and then or by appointments. I'm happy in general to schedule any appointments with you. So we just have to work out our own schedule, right? Yours and mine. All right, so you don't need to worry about this part here, right? Just another section. And for the eClass side, I talked about them already. For you, it will be the common MNO site and also the MN site. You don't have to worry about the O over here, right? So just two sites. I don't think O will section O will appear on your eClass homepage anyway. So anyway, all right. Study materials. Important, very important. There will be no textbook for this course, so you don't need to spend any money. Well, unless maybe if that's what you're thinking. What about your study materials? It will be enough just to study the material that's made available on my lecture site. Again, it is this site over here for the weekly materials. That will be more than enough. And sometimes before the written test, or before the programming test, I will see I'll see the schedule. Maybe I'll give you some practice problems, or maybe I can even hold some Q&A sessions dedicated to the test to really help you review. So don't worry, you don't need to buy any textbook. Studying my slides, studying my notes will be enough. All right. Having said this, if for those of you who might want to purchase maybe some reference book, I know many of you have the good habits like liking books, right? In that case, I would suggest two over here, right? One is Introduction to Programming in Java and Interdisciplinary Approach. So you can purchase that maybe from Amazon, eBay, or Taobao, other platform. So this one here is all just more about pure Java. It's quite a good book. So if you like, you can purchase that just for your optional reference. Of course, if you find any interesting example that you want to discuss with me, you're more than welcome to. And the second one, Introduction to Computer Science with Android. So this is a book written by Professor Hamza Romani. So he actually got this book. It's more like a hands-on learning and learning by doing book. So if you want to learn more about Android, which we will cover about Android. I'll speak about the learning outcomes a little bit later, but we will cover about Android later in the course. So if you want to study ahead, feel free, but it's only optional. All right. All right, so what about available help resources? So you got a course forum, you got my office hour, you got a scheduled lab session. So you can attend any multiple or all of them, right? Or of course you can skip them completely if you like, right? There will be no grading to be done during the lab session, okay? No grading to be done. So scheduled lab, no grading. It's only for you to get speak to the TA to talk about any course materials. And also the weekly Q&A sessions. So for you guys, it's going to be Monday and also Tuesday, 2:30, right? So you don't really need to worry about which section you are registered in. Just attend either one or both. Of course, if you simply are feeling completely happy about the course, you can skip them. I'm okay with that, okay? So it's going to be, and the weekly Q&A will start from Monday next week. So this week, you're supposed to study the lecture materials for week number 1. Right. So after this, next Monday and Tuesday, you can ask me questions. Okay. I'll speak a little bit more about Q&A in just a moment. Okay. Hopefully everybody's okay so far. All right. Okay. We got course description. That's okay. You can read it. Right. You'll gradually know about what exactly this course is about and about the course learning outcome. So this will be very important because whenever you're doing something, you should know what the purpose is, right? So now for this course, so there are 6 learning outcomes. This may not be an exhaustive list, but these are kind of the important ones to mention, okay? So very quickly, so we got CLO number 1 over here. So software developments, so we already start talking about development process in week 1's lecture. So about you within an object-oriented framework using a modern programming language and also tool set, right? So the one we're using is Java and also Eclipse. Okay, let me clarify some common, frequently asked question right away. You might, so the question is, So here, so we are using Java and also Eclipse. So some of you were asking whether you can actually use, some of you were asking whether you can use another programming ID, Intellij, for example. My short answer would be no. Okay, you may want to stick to Eclipse. I'll explain why. For your convenience. Okay, so number one, the tutorials that's distributed weekly, they are done in Eclipse. You might be able to find the corresponding functionality maybe in Intellij. That might be okay. However, number two, so sometimes the for some lab that you're supposed to complete, there's lab starter projects. Is Eclipse projects. Meaning that when you actually try to import the Eclipse project into another tool, you might suffer from maybe some compatibility issue, maybe. Okay, and number three, for your programming test and also for your lab submissions, not all of them, but some of them, submission may require some project archive file. And the project archive file is actually specific to Eclipse structure. So if you use another IDE to really finish your work, in that case, when you export the archive file, they might have different structure. In that case, you might fail the grading tests. So that's something I would like to mention. So my advice to you would be, please stick to Eclipse. I'm not saying Intellij is not good. It's not really because of that reason. Many people use Intellij. However, since we already decided to really stick to Eclipse for this course, and also for your 2030, the subsequent course to this, they also use Eclipse. So I think that it will be advantageous for you to get used to Eclipse anyway. All right. That's something I'd like to clarify. All right. Let me go back. CIO number two, you want to reason about algorithms, tracing programs, especially for tracing program. So this is really something you will see me doing most frequently in the lecture materials. So whenever I try to go over some example code with you, I like to trace them and try to visualize them. So that will be the skill I would like you to pick up as well about reasoning the program, right? Test-driven developments, we're going to see how you can test the code. For example, we're going to use JUnits. You're only supposed to read the JUnit test. You don't need to write them, right? You will learn about how to write JUnit test in 2030, in the fall maybe, or in the summer. All right, and also CLO number three, we're going to, CLO number three, event-driven programming. So this part here is a little bit different. Let me use a different color, event-driven program. But, like variables, expression, control structure, conditional loops, and also API usage. Okay, so these are also important. We'll get there, week by week. Okay, we'll get there eventually. So now, up to now, all the blue ones are going to be done in Eclipse, which is a lightweight IDE. On the other hand, for course learning outcome over here, sorry, I forgot one more thing. And also for CLO number 4, so also using API and also tool chain. So this is also going to be done in the Eclipse. Okay, all the blue ones, CLO 1, 2, 3, 4, except for the event-driven program. So event-driven program plus CLO 5 and 6. So these three things will be done in the Android Studio platform. So that's something we'll do later. So why are we doing in 2 IDEs? You might be wondering. Okay, let me explain that quickly. So in case you have doubts. So Android Studio, actually, this course is only supposed to be an introduction to Java. However, the Android Studio tool chain actually already assume the user has good knowledge about Java. So in some way, that's kind of contradictory. So what we want to do is when you are picking up the basics about OO, about control structure, about the elementary programming in Java, we don't want you to be distracted by Android Studio too much. We want you to use Eclipse, a much lighter weight IDE, to really pick up the basics And then in the final 1/3 of the course, we're going to let you develop some mobile apps using assuming that you already built up the basics for Java. We thought that's a more logical sequence to help you learn, right? Okay, so for the very first 8 weeks, we're going to use Eclipse. And then for the final 4 weeks, you will get a chance to get exposed to Android Studio. All right, so that will be the plan for the semester, right? All right, so any questions so far? Please feel free to speak up if you got any questions.
Oh yeah, I have a question.
Please.
Can you speak more slowly, please?
Oh, more slowly? Okay, no problem. Sure. Did you miss any points so far? I can speak more slowly. That's okay. Any questions so far? If I spoke a little bit too fast previously, did you want me to re-explain anything else?
No, I'm good. Just speak more slowly.
Okay, I'll try to speak more slowly. That's okay. Sure. All right, next one.
Professor, just one question.
Go ahead.
I already have the Introduction to Computer Science with Android first edition. Should I look to buy the second edition as well as you had in the slides, or
I see. Sure.
the first edition okay?
No problem. So the question was, one of your fellow students actually got this textbook over here. They got the first edition. They were wondering whether they should purchase the second edition. I would say it will be up to your decision, because remember, these are optional textbook. I would say as far as this semester, the courses, as far as this course is concerned, this semester, you don't need to update to the second edition. You don't need to. There's no need to do so. And later, remember when I said in the final 4 weeks, we're going to learn about how to develop Android apps in the Android Studio. In that case, I wouldn't require you to buy the textbook. I will create some comprehensive tutorial videos to help you get started with Android Studio and with all the details about developing the app. So there's no need for you to buy. So to your question, so when should you update to the second version? I would say it's not necessary for passing the test or to do the assignments, but if you like to keep up to date, it's up to you. So I hope that answered your question.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Can we download Android Studio on macOS?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm using a Mac, so when I was teaching this course previously, yes, you definitely can download Android Studio in the Mac, yes. But it's not going to be needed until the final 4 weeks. In the first 8 weeks, all you need will be just Eclipse. Yeah.
Oh, awesome! Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
Hello, Professor. I have I have 2 questions.
Go ahead.
I didn't hear you the first time, but did you say if we wanted to attend another lab session, we don't need to officially re-register? We can just attend the other lab session?
That's correct.
The one I'm currently enrolled in is late.
So I would say if you guys are thinking, let's say if you already officially registered in any of the lab session, there is no need for you to transfer to any other session, because we don't require any attendance in the labs. The labs will only be held by some TAs. They're only there to answer your questions. So there's no need for you to attend to have any conflicts. So for example, if you're, just for example, let's say you're currently registered in the Monday lab session, but you found some time conflict. That's okay. You can just attend maybe the one on maybe Thursday or Friday. That's okay.
Great, thank you. My second question was about the GitHub. If I have a personal account, is it enough for me to use private repositories, or do I have to make an educational account?
Yeah, so the question is, you have basically for the GitHub, I want to give the following try. So for the GitHub, okay, so you have a personal account, maybe not educational. I would say give the following try. I'm not too sure because mine is actually educational. So try to see if you can create a private repository. If you're able to, then that's okay. That'll be enough.
Okay.
Okay. So I think the main point is we highly encourage you to really adapt to GitHub to really manage your Java projects, not just for the weekly tutorial videos, but also for your lab assignments. However, due to academic honesty issue, we don't want your lab solution to be shared in public. at least in this semester, we don't want it. So that's why creating a private repository is very important. Yeah, so I would say for your personal GitHub account, give a try to see if you can, there should be an option for you when you first create a repository. If you can actually choose to create a private one, then you should be okay.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I want to interject for this question. People have been talking in the chat saying that you can make private repositories with just a personal account. You don't need a student account anymore.
Oh, so it's positive. You can create a private repository using personal.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Okay, now guys, as I said, yeah, good. Thanks for telling me. So your fellow student is confirming that if you got a personal account, you should be able to create private repository. Yeah. So again, give it a try. So just make sure you choose a private. Actually, that's also something I did when I showed to you on Lab 0 tutorial series. Yeah. So the most important thing is private, right? Good. Thanks.
In that case, there's no need for an educational account.
That's correct. But please double check to make sure you can create the private repository. Then you'll be fine.
Thank you very much, Professor.
No problem.
Professor, I have a question about Eclipse. So the link that you posted on like the Lab 0 PDF, when I went on to download Eclipse from there, there are so many different like programs that it's asking me to install. I don't know. I'm not sure which
version. I think out of those versions, there should be one called for Java developers.
Java developers.
Java developers. Yeah, do a search. I vaguely remember. Give a try to see if you can search the version for Java developers. If you cannot, please send me an email. Just maybe put a screenshot about all the version over there, and then I'll tell you which one to install.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good. All right. Anything else, guys? All right. If not, let me go back.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so I installed for my Eclipse thing, I was wondering about that too, but I installed, I think it was like Java for enterprise developers or something like that, something along those lines. So I don't know if that'll be all right.
I think basically which version, right? Okay. You know what? Let me look into this version of.
I think the one you're supposed to install is called the Eclipse IDE for Java and DSL developers. I think that's the one.
Yeah, Java and you say SE developers?
For Java and DSL developers.
DSL developers. Okay, guys, you know what? Let me check this today, and then I'll get back to you on this to be precise. I'll get to you on this. Okay, I'll put a question mark here, and I'll get back to you. Okay. I think sometimes the link will simply just give you the option to download some version by default already. That's what I thought. But sometimes you may have to choose. I will look into it and then I'll get back to you on this. Okay. We just need a version that can let you create a new Java project. That's all we need. But I'll double check. All right. Okay, guys, anything else?
Professor, excuse me if I'm interrupting, because I'll be going, so I have to ask this question. Sorry if I'm interrupting.
No problem.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
So I'm really confused about where to start about the lectures. Do I have to start from the weekly tutorials, tutorials for Java, or do I have to start from lectures?
Okay, sure.
In order to do Lab 0 or Lab, I'm really confused.
No problem. That's a legitimate question. Your fellow student question was, we got your week 1 lectures. And also we got your week 1 Java tutorials, which is required by your Lab 0. Basically, that's what you're assigned to, right? The question was, which one should you start first? I would say it wouldn't really make a huge difference. It doesn't really matter. However, if you really just want to have a more gradual introduction, I would say start with this first, the Java tutorial, because in that case, you can just be guided by me to really build some Java projects right away. And then you have some idea about Java syntax, about declaring variables. And then when you watch the lectures, that might make more sense. So I would say do this and then do that.
Okay, that sounds really good. That's why.
No problem. Yeah, you know what? I think also this might be a better way to manage your time, because this one here, you can think about for lectures, there's no explicit deadline for that. But I would say next Monday and Tuesday will be when you can ask me questions about this lecture. So even if you haven't finished that, you can still got a weekend to really finish that. So that'll be the next Monday and Tuesday. It will be the Q&A for the lecture. On the other hand, for your lab 0 that requires to finish the week 1 Java tutorial, that one will be this Friday, midnight. So this Friday will be January 15th. So I think this deadline is a little bit approaching sooner. So you may just want to do this first anyway. All right.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, good. All right. Guys, any more questions before I move on with the syllabus? All right, good. Let me move on. Okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
You got a question? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So is that the deadline? The Friday, the midnight. Is that the deadline for submitting?
That's correct. So yeah, this one here, you can double check your lab 0 instructions on the common MMO eClass site. That one there give you a precise deadline. Yes.
Okay. Are they graded?
They will be graded. Yes. I'll go over the grading scheme. That one's 1% for your grade.
Okay, perfect. And we will be submitting that through GitHub. That's right.
No, you will submit through eClass.
Oh, through eClass.
Through eClass. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. GitHub is highly recommended, but not required for this course, right? As I mentioned in the lab 0 instructions. So now let me get back to that's very important. About lab 0 over here, you can see if you go to your eClass site, the one for all the section M, N, and O, you will see under lab submission, there's lab 0. And later on, there will be lab 1, lab 2, lab 3, all the way to lab 8, right? So you will submit your lab through the eClass, okay?
Right. So do we have to do this lab 0 on MS Word or just on Notepad? How are we supposed to do that and submit?
That one there, you got to follow. Okay, basically, you will just go open the instruction for lab 0. Okay, open that. And that one there actually tells you what to do. So number 1, you will need to create a GitHub account. And then you're going to install Eclipse on your own computer. You can also use the remote labs that's provided by EECS department if you like. And then you will complete the tutorials on your machine or on the remote labs, either way. So there is no tablet needed at this point.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you.
No problem. Okay. Yeah, guys, don't be shy. I can take any question you have, right? It's good to clarify on day 1, right? All right, so let me, can I continue with the syllabus? All right. All right, let me just go to the syllabus here. Let's talk about the grading scheme, okay, which is important. Okay, first of all, start with the lab. So you got your lab 0 that's due on this Friday, that's 1%, okay? And then you got another 6 labs. So all these 6 labs will be, are going to be completed in Eclipse. They are just simply Java programming exercises. Okay, so 2.5% each. And then for the final 2 labs, about 2 weeks for each. So the final 4 weeks for lab 7 and lab 8 is going to be done in Android Studio. Also 2.5% each. All right, so we got 8 labs in total. Well, 1 plus 8, so there'll be 9 labs in total. That will be 21% for your course grade. Okay. And then other components over here. So we got actually 3 programming. Oh, sorry, we got 4 programming tests. 1, 2, 3, 4. They just have different weights. The first one is just for your very first programming test, about 1 week to 10 days before the test. Okay, so I'll put it here. About 1 week to 10 days. Before the test, I'm going to give you some guidance about how you're supposed to get prepared and also the format for the test. So you don't have to worry, right? We're going to get you enough time to really get ready. But I would say the formats for the programming test will be very similar to how you complete your labs. So as long as you do your work for the labs, you should be okay, right? I'll give you precise guidance closer to the time for the lab test, for the programming test. Okay, there will be 3 written tests, 4% each. And similarly, I will also, between 1 week to 10 days before the test, I will also give you some guidance about how you should get prepared for the test. And maybe possibly I will hold some Q&A session to really help you prepare, right? We'll get there. And for the written test, it's going to be done on eClass. And you most likely you have been taking some quizzes or exam in eClass. You'll be similar format. I would say it's mainly just multiple choices. Mostly multiple choices. There might be a very minor amount. There might be, I'm not too sure. There might be minor amount of some written questions, maybe. But I will try to confirm. I will confirm maybe when I give you the guidance for the test. Okay, some written questions as well.
I have a
Question.
regarding weightings. If you miss a test, is it gonna get is the weighting gonna get shifted to other tests?
Okay,
like
good question.
sectional?
Yeah, I would say so if you really have to miss a test or lab, I would say you actually we do have some yeah, so you have to get in touch with me with a legitimate reason within 1 or 2 days after the test or the assignments. And then if the reason is convincing enough and possibly with some supporting documents that will help me consider, in that case, we might do some shift. Okay, I think the principle would be as follows. For example, if you miss a programming test, we might just shift to some programming test. If you miss a written test, we might just shift that to some later written test and possibly exam. So I will need to decide. Okay, and also if you miss a lab, so in that case, we might either shift that to some later lab or maybe shift that to some programming test. So that's something I will need to decide together with you. So, but the bottom line is, if you really miss some assessment, you need to get in touch with me as soon as you can, no later than a few days after the assessment occurred. In that case, I will discuss together with you how we can accommodate your situation. Right. So does that answer your question?
Yeah, that answered. Thank you.
Yeah, but hopefully you wouldn't miss anyone. Hopefully, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. All right. Good. All right, guys. That's about the grading scheme. Okay. About exam. Exam over here. At this point, I can tell you that it will be on eClass for sure, and then it will be some multiple choice. There will be some written question as well. Exactly what will be what the distribution might be between the two kinds of questions, I think I better tell you maybe a little bit later. But don't worry, after the semester, after the final day of the class, depending on how close the exam is, hopefully you can get some study day. In that case, we can even hold some review session for your exam. That's something I can do. All right. All right. Any question about grading scheme?
Yes, Professor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when would the programming tests and written tests be? Would they be on the Q&A session days or?
Oh, very good. Yeah, so if you don't mind, hold the question there. I'm going to go over the semester calendar. We'll see. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, guys, anything else? Yeah, for the precise dates about the programming test and also the written test and also due date for the lab, as soon as I get to the calendar for the course, you will see. Okay. But anything else?
Professor?
Yes.
When you say written questions, are you referring to like short answers or?
Yeah,
like
so yeah, written question. You know what? Let me let's say written question over here. For example, it could be maybe like a fill in the blanks. Or it could be maybe simply a little bit like an essay question. Well, that's what they call in eClass. So maybe it would be something like I would give you a small problem there, and I would simply want you to write a Java code. Maybe it doesn't have to be 100% correct. It's pretty much like when you are taking an in-person exam. You simply write on the paper. We just want you to write some code to see your understanding. That could be another kind. Yeah, I'm going to give you maybe a little bit more details once we get to the particular written test or exam.
But like these tests and examinations, they'll be distributed through eClass, correct?
Correct. That's correct. So all the basically all your written test and your exam, they will be done through eClass. Yes. So eClass is definitely the main medium for you to take tests for sure. Yes.
Thank you. I just want to make sure. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right. Okay, let me continue. Okay, if you got any questions, again, just speak up, please. All right, let me just mention something here, some facts. So all the labs, all the programming tests, and also the exam, they are common to all the sections. All right, so that's something I mentioned already. And as I said, I will give you instructions and also submission details closer to the dates for the test, right? We'll see the timing for the assessment in just a moment. And also, the written test, the date and time, which we'll go over, is common to all the sections. However, the coverage for the written test is going to be depending on the instructor. So for example, for you guys, in section N and section N, since you're taking that with me, so you're just going to take your written test in the MN eClass site. And then it depends on how the lectures go around that time. So again, I'll get in touch with you at least 1 week beforehand, so you will know what to get prepared. All right. All right, so now let me go on. What about the expected weekly workload over here? Okay, so now for Lausanne, they actually have some recommendation for the faculty when they design their curriculum. So for 3 credit course, the weekly recommended workload will be between 9 and also 13.5 hours, roughly around that. Okay, accordingly, so this will be my recommended workload for you. Okay, so we call it in-class hour. We don't really have a physical class, just virtual class. So we got lecture videos. So typically it will just be about 2 hours. It's only for the very first week. It's a little bit more. Okay, but starting from the second week, we'll go back to normal. Okay, normally it will just be about 2 weeks. About 2 hours. And also there will be weekly lab tutorial videos to really show you how you can program in Eclipse. They will be in between 1.5 to 2 hours, 90 minutes to 2 hours, or around that range. Again, the very first week, just slightly longer than usual, but starting from the second week, we'll go back to normal, okay? But since in the first week, you don't need to complete any serious programming assignments. You will just need to follow through the tutorial videos and submit the Java project. So that one wouldn't be too bad, right? But starting from the second week, you will be given some exercises to complete for your lab assignments. Okay, what about out of the class hours? I would say this one here is only a guidance. So it will be between 6 to 9 hours. For example, for you to complete your lab assignments and study for the lectures and tests. So depending on the individual, so maybe you're doing very well with the course. Maybe you have you have much prior experience. You might spend less time. If you are just a beginner for the Java language, which is completely okay. In this course, we don't really assume any prior knowledge about Java. So I would say between 6 to 9 hours. Okay, but it's only a guidance. So that's why I want to emphasize. So this is a very foundational course because your future 2030 and also 2011 in the second year will depend on this course. So I would say it is reasonable, or it is not unreasonable, that you might find yourself needing more time to digest the materials. So don't feel too bad if you spend more than 30.5 hours in this course, right? You just need time to digest the materials. The harder you work in this course, I think the easier it would be for you in the second year and onwards. All right, any question about workload? Any questions? All right. And of course, all the scheduled labs, the Q&A, office hour, they are simply just optional. So when I say optional that means if you simply don't need the resources to really help you learn, then you can skip them. However, if you really find that you're struggling with the course materials, you may want to consider using them. So that'll be my recommendation. All right. Okay, let me go to the next. This section 14 is just about how we calculate letter grades. It's a very standard way of calculating letter grades. Basically, we're just going to calculate a weighted sum of all the grading units. You can see one example over here. And once we get your row marks out of 100, and then we're going to map that to the letter grades. For example, if you got 71.7, you get a B, right? The cutoff might be adjusted maybe a little bit, but that's not something we'll discuss with you. That's something me and my co-instructor will try to judge at the end of the day. But you can expect a standard way of calculating your grades. There should be no surprise. Any question about calculating your grades? Any questions? All right. Okay, next one. Okay, now it's about a calendar. Okay, let me go over with you about a semester calendar. Oh, by the way, let me show you how you can find a copy of this. It might look too colorful at first, but I think that's the best. I thought that's the best way to really show you exactly what you can expect every week. So if you go to the lecture site, you will see semester calendar over here. Click on that, you get a copy of this. All right, so you can keep a copy as well handy. Okay, let me just go over with you. Okay, basically you can see we got 12 weeks. We got week number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we got a reading week. And then after the reading week, we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. After 12 weeks, you got your study day, and then we got an exam period over here, right? And then for every week, it's pretty much regular. I would say the only exception is for your Lab 0 officially is actually released only today. It's because it's rather light. So Lab 0 is released on Monday and it's due on Friday, okay? And then for every subsequent lab, they will always be released on Friday before the midnight, always. Okay, you can see Lab 1 is going to be released on this Friday, the 15th of January. And also, for example, you can see Lab number 3 will be released on the 29th of January, and etc. And to make it hopefully less confusing, always the lab will be due on Friday. You can think about as soon as your previous lab is actually due, once you submitted that by the deadline, we're going to release the new lab for you to start with. We just make it Friday, so you don't get too many days for the due dates. So you can see for this Friday over here, after your Lab 0 is due, we're going to release lab number 1 to you, right? And then you can see after Lab 1 is due on Friday, we're going to release Lab number 2 for you on the same Friday, okay? And then what about weekly lectures, about the timing? So in principle, I will release all the lecture videos to you on Monday, okay? You can see I already released week number 1, and also week number 2, 3, and etc. Okay. Sometimes if I can make it earlier, maybe on Sunday, I will try to do that. So just in case you want to do some extra, do some work, maybe earlier over the weekend. Right. All right, and then you can see over here. Let's see the timing. You can see week number 1 lecture is released today officially. So that means you got a whole week over here, Monday to Friday, to study the lecture videos. And then next Monday and Tuesday, we will hold the Q&A for lecture number 1. That's why you can see this is blue and this is also blue, right? That's how you can see it. Okay, what about tests? Either programming test or written test, they will always take place between Wednesday and Thursday. I'll go over the time together with you, okay? Wednesday and Thursday. And then within the time frame of it, let's say, for example, programming test is going to take place on week number 4. It's going to be February 3rd and 4th, Wednesday and Thursday. So now, within this 24 hours interval, you're going to choose a 90 minutes interval to take the test. Okay, the programming test will only last for 90 minutes, and the written test is going to last for 30 minutes. So that means, for example, let's say you might choose maybe Thursday morning, 90 minutes to complete your programming test, or maybe Thursday afternoon, 90 minutes to complete the test, or maybe Thursday evening to complete the test. We can leave that flexibility to you. But each programming test can only, once you start the attempt, you will close the submission within 90 minutes once you get started. Okay. So that's the dates. I'll talk about the exact timing in a moment. This calendar here only show you the dates, but we'll see the time in just a moment. So for programming test number 1, and also for written test number 1, so you can see programming test 1, it will be February 3rd and 4th. So you can expect to hear from me maybe around this time about how you should get prepared for the programming test, right? I'll get in touch, so don't worry. Okay, so you can look through the calendar, programming test 1, written test 1, and after the reading week, and then you got programming test 2 on March the 3rd and 4th, and also you got written test, programming test, and etc. Right? So that's a calendar. So guys, any question about understanding the calendar here? Any question?
I have a question.
Please.
Yeah. So like about the test, so we're allowed to choose when exactly to write our tests? Like
Yes.
Between the
correct.
3rd or the 4th?
Correct.
So I could choose to write my test on Thursday afternoon if I wanted to?
That's correct. That's correct. Let me give you one
right.
example here. That's correct. Yeah, let me elaborate on what you're saying here for your fellow students. So for programming test number 1 over here, it's going to be open for submission. It's going to be open. Let me be precise. For programming test number 1, it's going to be open at 11:59 on Wednesday, pretty much the start of Thursday already, and then it's going to be due at 11:59 p.m. on Thursday. So you have the entire Thursday. So this can accommodate for those of you who might be more efficient in working in the morning, or maybe efficient working in the afternoon, or etc. Or maybe you're in a different time zone. So the 24 hours period, you can choose any. So and then between the 24 hours, you will choose a 90 minutes interval to take your test. Because once you decide to really start the attempt, the timer will actually start for 90 minutes. As for example, if you decide to start at 1 p.m. on Thursday, for example, in that case, your test is going to expire after 90 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
No problem. No problem. And written test as well. The only difference is the written test is going to be 30 minutes rather than 90 minutes. Okay.
Right.
And then one thing I'm not sure if you might be glad to know, for both programming tests and also written test, they will be open book. Okay, so it might be good because you can create as many notes as you like to help you. On the other hand, so that means your instructor might design the test knowing that it's going to be open book. So the question there might be the kind of question that you may not help you too much if you have to frequently look through your notes, right? I'll give you a little bit more tip once we get to that point about get prepared for your test. Don't worry, okay?
Awesome, thank you.
No problem. Guys, any more question about the calendar per se?
I wanted to know about the programming test is coming on a week that we have that you like right before you release the programming test, you also release a workload for that in a week. With the programming test, would it include that workload for, that is on?
Yeah, I understand you. Yeah, fair question. Your fellow student question was, let's say programming test number 1 happens over here. And then at the same time, in the beginning of the week, we also release lecture number 4 and possibly also your Java tutorial week number 4. Are they going to be covered by programming test 1? The answer is no. Okay, we are not that mean, don't worry. We will be reasonable. So I would say when I release the study guide over here, I'm going to make clear about the coverage of the test. I think the maximum it can cover will be only up to this week's coverage only. So whatever that we release over here is not going to be covered. So don't worry. Okay. I hope that addressed your concern.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good. Guys, any more questions about the calendar? Okay.
Professor?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. I just want to quickly ask, or just to clarify, when you say that the programming test 1, it will be open at 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, does that basically mean that we actually don't have Wednesday to complete it, right?
Yeah,
it actually starts Thursday.
Yeah, because in theory, strictly speaking, when you say 11:59, it's still on Wednesday, right? Just 1 minute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that this can be confusing telling you got 48 hours. Yeah, I know, but it's just officially it will be you can think about you got an entire Thursday starting from midnight until the following midnight, basically. 24 hours. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, guys, everybody's okay about calendar? Okay, I'll go a little bit further about the timing for each one of them. Okay.
Professor, I just got a question.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Where can I find this calendar?
Where can you find this calendar? Yes. First of all, go to the lecture site Okay, the lecture site over here. Go there, and then you will see that at the top of the table, you got a semester calendar over here. Can you see it?
All right. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, very good. Okay. There's another weekly schedule over here, which I'll go over. We'll get to that point a little later. Okay. All right. So now after this, okay, you guys are helping each other. Very good for sending link. Thank you. Let me move on to, with the syllabus. Okay, so that's about the calendar. Let me go a little bit further about the precise timing. Okay, for each one of them. So over here, each lab, except for lab 0, right? You can see the footnotes, except for lab 0. Okay, but in principle, every lab will be released by 11:59 on the Friday. Okay, and then it will be due also on the 11:59 on its corresponding Friday. For example, let me just say again. So you can see over here, when we say release lab number 1, lab 1 over here, that means we're going to release that on Friday by 11:59 p.m. And when we say lab 0 is actually due, so that means on that Friday by 11:59 p.m. it is due. Okay, always 11:59 p.m. for your lab on Friday. All right, number 1. And then me and the instructor for section O, we agree to have some slight leniency on everybody, because it might be sometimes, you know, maybe there might be something happened, you might be delayed on your progress. So for lab submission, okay, typically late lab submission might just result as 0, right? For example, if you go past the 11:59 p.m. deadline for Friday, you might just get 0, but it's not the case this semester. Okay, so there will be some policy on late submission. Okay, now let me go over that and I'll give you one example. Basically, if the overdue hours is within 1 day, like a 24 hours, there will be a 30% penalty, which means you still get 70% of the mark for that particular lab once you get graded. Okay, it's not 0. And then within 2 days, let's say if you pass the 1 day, but you're still within 2 days, there will be a 60% penalty, meaning that you will get 40% left for that lab. At least you don't get 0. However, if you pass the 2 days overdue period, in that case, there will be 100% penalty, which means you receive a 0. Let me give you one example. Okay, let's say let's take maybe lab 2, for example. You can see lab number 2 over here. Lab number 2 is due on the 29th of January, which is a Friday. Okay, so that means, think about this. Okay, so January 29th, which is a Friday, right? The next day will be the 30th of January, and then 31st of January. So that'll be Saturday and also Sunday, right? Think about the deadline should be around here. That's 11:59, right? If you submit by then, you're okay, no penalty. However, if somehow get past this particular deadline, but you're still submitting before Saturday 11:59 p.m., in this case, there will be a 30% penalty. Similarly, so let's say over here, if you actually say you submit, you actually get past the Saturday sub deadline over here. Let's say you submit over here before 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. In that case, you will get a 60% penalty. Finally, if you actually wait, if you pass the Sunday midnight, you just get 0. All right, hopefully that's clear for everybody. So put it a little bit more informally. If you're 1 day late, you get 30% penalty. If you're 2 days late over the weekend, in that case, before Sunday midnight, you still get the 60% penalty. But if you go past Sunday, in that case, you don't get anything. That's the late submission policy. I hope that's clear. Okay, I hope. So guys, one thing to note, the late policy over here is only for lab. For written test and for programming test, they do not have any late policy. If you miss the dates, or if you miss the Thursday for your test, for example, over here, for whatever reason, if you only email me on Friday over here to tell me that you missed the deadline for programming test number 1, there is no late policy. You will just get 0 unless you have some legitimate reason, hopefully with some supporting documents, right? So please do look at the calendar regularly so you would know what to expect, okay? Unless something very, very exceptional happened during the semester. Otherwise, we're going to stick to this schedule very strictly so that everybody have some agreement, all right? All right, so now let me talk about submission over here. Oh, you know what? Guys, my apology over here. I make some very, I make some mistake over here, okay? When I talk about the time for the programming test, sorry, I was thinking about the old version of the policy, right? I forgot we actually changed this. Let me say it again. I do apologize for the confusion, okay? For your programming test and written test, okay? It should be 2 p.m., not 11:59. I do apologize again, okay? It should be 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. Okay, let me say again, okay? Let's say over here for this programming test, okay? So programming test number 1, right? Is the submission is going to be open at 2 p.m. over here. And then it's going to be closed at 2 p.m. over here. When I said 11:59 p.m., I just got confused myself. That's the original policy before the syllabus was finalized. Okay, so it should be 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. So you do have part of Wednesday and also part of Thursday to do your test. Okay, maybe this is more preferable by you, but anyway, that's a policy, right? 2 p.m. and 2 p.m. Right? Any questions about the test? All right.
Yes. Hi.
Please. Yes.
Are we allowed to get park marks for the lab assignments?
Are you able to get park marks?
Yeah. Let's say you miss a semicolon and it doesn't run properly, but you did most of the work. Do you still get marks, or is it a 0?
You know, I think, yeah. Okay, I can see what you mean. We will try to make the grading policy more precise later. I think if you miss, if all you are missing is a semicolon, I think that the TA might be able to evaluate your code manually, and then they're going to maybe give some partial mark. Yes. However, I would say you really want to. Okay, that's something I kind of emphasize in lab number 0. Every time before you submit for either your lab or for your programming test, you have to look into Eclipse and make sure the problems tag shows no errors, which means there's no compile time errors. You want to make sure that. And yes, maybe for the lab, in case you really cannot fix all the errors before the deadline, you still submit, and then you might receive a 0 in the first place, and then we might just ask the TA maybe to look into it manually to give you some part marks. However, when you say part marks, the part marks may not be as high as you might hope for, because it's a programming course, so it's really important for you to really make sure you submit something that compiles and can be run. If you got errors like a semicolon, how can your code be run, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so short answer, yes, you might get part marks. However, the part marks may not be very much.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So, but you know, I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm really trying to encourage you to really try to get used to the Java syntax. Since we are learning a new language, you really want to be a little bit hard on yourself to make sure you really get used to the syntax and all the common errors. So that, of course, again, if you've got any trouble figuring these out, try to get in touch with me as early as I can, as early as you can, so I can try to help you a bit. All right. All right. So guys, any more question about the submission time, the calendar, etc. Right? Again, it's 2 p.m. for the test. Okay. Any questions? All right. So let's move on. All right. So now let's move on a little bit about let's see what. Okay. So this is just a schedule. Okay. The weekly schedule. So we are now here Okay, we're now here. And then starting from the second week, so this is the original class time for section N. This is the original class time for section M. Okay, both of them will be used as the Q&A. Okay, so these are just Q&A for us. And then you don't have to worry about this. This is the Q&A for section O because it's a common syllabus for all of us. So that's why I'm listing that here. But you don't need to join them, right? They might be talking about different topics. And you can join the Q&A either this or both. Hopefully not none. Okay. And then in terms of the scheduled lab session, so I think for section, basically you can attend any one of them. Just take let's say if you are in section N, not only that you can attend this one here and also this one here, you can also attend section N, also you can attend section O, all of them. So again, the lab session are there for you to ask questions. Okay, any confusion about the schedule over here? Okay, actually, one of you guys are asking some chat. I just see that now. Is tomorrow's meeting going to be the same as today's? And the answer is right, more or less. So I'm thinking that since I'm really answering all the questions today, to really save your fellow students time, I'm just going to publish the recording. So we don't need to meet again tomorrow because it's going to be the similar questions, right? Anyway, so we'll just get to the end over here. All right, so guys, if no question about the schedule, so starting from next week, so hopefully I can see as many of you as possible for the Q&A over here if you got any questions. All right. Okay, finally, the final section for syllabus will be the weekly topics. So I think that we are on schedule. So this week, we already finished the elementary programming. So starting from week number 2, we can learn about conditionals. So the idea would be, before the reading week, we want to finish everything about control structure. So you may have touched upon that in your 1012 or 1015. But we'll learn about OO, the new stuff, after the reading week. And remember, after the reading week, it's starting from week number 6. So we still got about 7 weeks to learn about OO. So that's good. It's really important to strengthen the basics first before you learn the new stuff. All right, so any more question about the syllabus? Any more?
Yes.
Yes, please.
This chart, does it go the same pace as the section O?
This, so you mean this table here?
Yeah.
That's the same. It's the same.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? It's tricky. Movlet, the section O instructor, we agree on this table of the topics that's going to be covered. However, sometimes I might be a little slower, or sometimes he might be a little bit slower. So I would say this is in principle the same. All the topics are going to be covered eventually for the exam. So that's why the written test during the term is going to be decided for the coverage by individual instructor. But for the final exam, it's going to be common to all the sections. Okay.
What about the programming test?
Programming test is going to be the same for all the 3 sections. It's going to be the same.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. All right, guys. Any more questions? Any more?
Yeah, Professor, I have one.
Yeah.
Where I watched the videos for like the tutorial of how to create a GitHub account.
Yes.
And at the video where you would like start printing, for example, "Hello World" from Eclipse, I would get some sort of error telling me I have to have a named package at line number 1. But when I looked at your recording, there's nothing that you wrote there at line number 1. So I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, somebody want to help? Yeah.
Oh yeah, you basically just have to delete that extra module file that's just there. There's this one extra file aside from the normal things in the source file. There's one extra file that you'll see that's not in the tutorial video. Just delete that and it'll be fine.
Yeah. Actually, we shouldn't need to use the module file that seems to be newly introduced by Eclipse. About the So if you're having a trouble with this, can you drop by my office hour tomorrow so we can look at it together?
Yeah, I'll try. It's just because time difference is a problem for me.
Oh, so which time zone are you?
I'm in the Middle East. Like right now, it's almost 12 a.m.
Oh, 12 a.m. So tomorrow it's going to be 1 p.m. over here. So it's going to be about 9 p.m. I guess.
But yeah, I promise I have other lectures, but
Oh,
I'll try
I see.
to.
I see. Now give it a try. Otherwise, I think or you know what? Send me an email, and then maybe we can resolve this over the email as well, or we can schedule some Zoom session together. Just get in touch with me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
sure.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Guys, any more questions about the syllabus? Okay, we just got a few more slides to go over, and then we are done. Okay. All right, let me go back to the slide over here. Okay, so we are now done with the syllabus, and if you need any accommodation, please send me the letter, and then also get in touch with me. I have received a few from your fellow students, but please get in touch with me as soon as possible so I can set up proper arrangement for you. Okay, please do so. All right. So this is basically just a few more slides, just about why we need this course. We just need about 15 minutes or so to really finish this, and then we are done. Okay. I think for tomorrow's Q&A, it's going to be basically the same structure over here. So I'm thinking that I might just publish the recording so I can save you some time. So you can just go off to do your work about the lecture and also tutorial. Guys, before I start to talk about this, so do you have any more questions about the course you want to ask me about? Now would be the good time. Anyone?
Professor?
Yes.
I just want to quickly say, because I think some of us were talking in chat, and I think like a lot of us appreciate the organization that was put into this course, because other online courses don't have this, like not nearly as much organization put into it. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Right, you guys. You know what? It's interesting, guys. I really I appreciate your appreciation. I do appreciate you say that. I can tell. I'm not sure if you look at that. If you saw that in the Reddit. I remember an aside. It's not really important, but I just want to say that out. You know, this calendar over here. I think that this could be maybe for many of you who I find it very useful. I'm glad. But some students from 3311 last term, they actually criticized on this calendar a lot to say that was so confusing, so many colors. So that's why, yeah. Anyway, but you know, I'm glad you felt that the organization makes sense to you. Anyway, yeah. Another thing I just saw on the chat here, just about how to succeed in this course over here. You know what? I will address this in one of the slides. Just bear with me. I'll go over that. Okay. I just need about 10 or 15 minutes more to finish the slides. But guys, any more questions? Any more about how the course is going to be run? Good. Yeah. So I think yeah. Let me now go over. Yeah. I think it's really nice to have you guys, because it's very likely that I might teach maybe 2030 if I got a chance. So maybe many of you might be my students again, maybe in the fall. So who knows, right? So let's try the best to help you learn and then get you succeed. All right. Okay. I just need a final 15 minutes or so just to give you a little more context about why we need this course. Okay. So this course 1022 is actually a prerequisite to EECS102030 about a more advanced concept for OOP, and also 2011. And people like to talk about 2011 as the Java interview course, because you will learn about many algorithms and many data structure there, which you might be asked in the programming, like a job interview. However, I think try to pay more attention to the way I try to explain concept to you in the lecture. Imagine that I'm trying to explain to you, even though I'm using my iPad, but I can pretend I'm using a whiteboard to really go over problem solution together with you. That's kind of the technique you want to pick up. And later on, you might be asked by your interviewer, your future boss, to really explain the solution on the whiteboard or blackboard, not really in front of an IDE. In that case, can you do so to really show that you really understand the stuff, right? So that's something I want you to keep in mind. All right, so why this course? Another thing, first of all, it's a prerequisite, of course, but more importantly, we really want you to further strengthen about computational thinking. Basically, I know all of you are computer science major, but to really have truly computational thinking, it's not just about, so you want to think like a computer scientist, not just to be able to program, because writing a program doesn't really mean it will be correct, right? For example, your program might have syntax error, you might have type error, or in the long term, you might have maybe logical error. So that's something you want to get rid of very eagerly. So it requires thinking at the multiple levels of abstraction. So that's something I'll gradually demonstrate to you how you can do it. So at one level, you want to program in Java, no question about it. You want to make sure you can write program. That's a very important learning outcome for this course. On the other hand, you want to think above the code level. You want to think abstractly. For example, for those of you who took maybe 10, 12, I heard that you guys maybe did a little bit of flowchart about how you can plan the structure of your methods or algorithm. So I would say that would be one way to really think above the code level. And later on, once you get to the third level, you will learn about, of course, you will learn more about the software design, in which case you also have to draw design diagram. So my point is, in this course, we don't really do flowchart, okay? Maybe a relief for many of you. We don't do flowchart. However, I do try to draw diagrams when necessary to really help you understand. So you're not really required to really do diagrams like what I do. You're not required. However, I encourage you to really many times to think above the code level to see what's really the logic and rationale behind the code. That's really important. But you will see, I always demonstrate that in my Q&A and also lecture. Okay? I want to keep that in mind. And now, for a very practical reason, right? Later on, when you actually go to a job interview, you will be required to demonstrate abstract thinking skills. You can take a look at this particular one. I just cited one example here. Click on this link. It shows you one example interview at Google. So the person being interviewed, he was simply asked to solve a problem, but not on Eclipse, not on Intellij, but on a whiteboard. And then he was only given some vague instruction about what he is supposed to do, but now he's got to think about abstractly about how to solve the problem and then to program the solution on the board. So that's something you want to gradually pick up, right? We'll see. All right, so now let's see this very quickly. So that's just a schematic view for your computer, right? You got monitor, printer, you got keyboard, you got network kind of stuff, CPU, memory, storage devices, right? Just schematic view. Two things, we got hardware. And you guys are computer science students, you don't need to touch too much about hardware, but engineering students, they have to, right? So hardware is very good in doing repetition, doing repetitive jobs. So the intelligent part is really the software. I'm not sure if you guys really say this a lot these days, where you heard your parents or your friends say this. They always say, what a stupid computer when things don't work. So now if you think about it, does the term stupid computer really make sense? If you think more about it, it doesn't make sense because computer only repeats the instructions that it was given. So what's the instruction? The programs. Who write the program? The programmer, like you and me. So I would say if the computer really failed, it's really the logic that actually, if computer really failed, unless it's a hardware failure. Otherwise, if it simply doesn't produce any correct result, that's really due to the logical error that's produced by the programmer. Either it can be me, it can be you, right? So that's why in this course, you really want to start thinking more logically. So we're going to talk about logical operators. We're going to talk about manipulation of arrays and nested loops, many advanced, more advanced stuff. You really need to really think abstractly, right? That's something we'll get to train you throughout the course. All right, so now, yeah, what computers can read is difficult for human. It's only zeros and ones, like a machine instructions. But for human beings like us, we can read something much more abstract, right? Okay, let me just get to the point. So we are very good in abstract thinking, right? So that's something you want to get used to. And then let me just give you one example over here. Okay, so now I'm gonna switch to my iPad. Let me just get prepared for that. We're almost done. Okay. Hopefully nobody has seen this example yet, so I can ask you about it. Let me go to my, let me go to my iPad over here. Okay, so guys, let me have a little bit, let's start really quick. So the question for you, okay? Let's say this is assembly language. So this is something you will learn in 2021. It's a more advanced course about computer architecture. let's think about T0, T1, T2, N, and I. They are simply like a registers. You can think about they are like a variables. And then the register N, like a variable, stores the value N, capital N. All right. So here, load words over here, this is called LW. Okay, let me just explain, and then I'll ask you. You can think about this is to load. This is to say we want to load the value of N into T0. Okay, and this is multiplication. Do the multiplication and then store the value to T0. And this is to load the value from N into T1. And this is multiplication. And you want to multiply some value that's stored in T1 by 3, and then store the result into T1. All right. And then you're trying to do addition. Do the addition between T0 and T1, and then put the result back to T2. And then you want to store the result. You want to store the value, whatever value that's stored in T2, into I. Any one of you hasn't lost track? If you haven't, can you tell me exactly what this is doing? This is assembly code over here that's going to be executed sequentially. Can anybody tell me exactly what this fragment of code is trying to do? Anybody?
Hi, Professor.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, if you know, please.
So it is taking the input from the user twice, then adding a multiplication in each sequence of the input, and then finally adding to T2, and the last one is subtracting the outcome of addition to T2.
Yeah, or a little bit more closer to my, let me be a little bit more elaborate on my question. So in terms of the value N, what are we trying to do? So one of your fellow student over here, without further ado, so your fellow students say, we are basically saying 3N, right? The N value here was initially saved to register N, right? 3N is basically calculated over here. So this is the calculation for 3N. And then we also got N squared. So this is the calculation for N squared. And then we are trying to add them together, right? So plus, and then save that to I. So this is basically that, right? Well, my point is, in a language like assembly language, which is closer to how the machine is going to execute the instructions, this is how the machine thinks. But is that intuitive to you? Maybe not. For you and me, we are much better off if we can simply just write a line like this in Java. You can see a single line of expression over here has to be translated into a machine language like this with so many instructions, and you can easily get lost. And this is a very simple example, right? So this is why in this course, we really want you to stay on top of what we are really trying to do about if statement, about loops, and then given a particular problem to solve, you really have to think logically before you translate the solution into Java. Okay. Okay. One more thing to mention. You can see over here about this particular Java example. So now you can look at that. I don't need to. You can look at that maybe after the class, even without me telling you exactly what this is going to do. With a good choice of the name of the variables, you can see weights, height, and BMI. You can easily guess what the program is trying to do, right? So that's the advantage of a high-level language like a Java. So as long as you're trying to keep yourself logical, you're trying to keep track of what you're trying to do, rather than simply trial and error, rather than just trying to hack in your code, I think you'll be okay, right? So that's something I would like to demonstrate as much as possible in my lecture and also Q&A. Right, just a very small example to really demonstrate the difference. Let me go back. Okay. All right, so that's the, in case you're interested, if you really are you're really interested in learning this, you will see this in 2021, maybe in the fall, all right? Not now. But now we are lucky. We don't need to think in terms of assembly language. We can think in terms of like a Java, okay? Okay, so we learned about computational thinking. You already learned about it in 1012 or 1015, but now we'll learn a little bit more. we'll strengthen the ideas. We'll start with the variable assignments very quickly just to review. You have seen very similar concept in your previous course. We'll learn about conditionals. We'll learn about loops. We'll learn about one-dimensional array, pretty much like a list. And this might be new to you. We're going to learn about two-dimensional array, which is lots of fun. You can implement a game, like a board game, like a tic-tac-toe. Do you know what tic-tac-toe is? For example, Battleship. Battleship is much more complicated. By the way, my previous course, my previous teaching about a software design course in the third year, we implemented a Battleship program by using good software design. But Battleship might be too complicated for this course. But anyway, so this is tic-tac-toe, right? You can put a circle, you can put a cross, right? And cross, circle, and somebody run, right? So that's basically the tic-tac-toe. In order to implement board game like this, which is a very common data structure for the game, you have to use a two-dimensional array. That'll be the best. So we'll try to give you some interesting app to really develop when we get to the Android Studio part. So we're hoping that when you get to use the Android Studio, you already know very well about all the computational thinking concept in Java. So you'll be able to build up some very interesting app. Okay, that's our hope. All right, we'll get there. All right, so now also classes and object. That's also very important about OO, object orientation. That'll be the focus after the reading week. All right, so now okay, so now is this an easy course? This may not be an easy course, I would say. I don't want to lie to you. This may not be so as easy as you might think because it's a foundational course, okay? So you need to work hard, and since it's completely online, I would really suggest you try to work steadily, really over all the materials in order to perform well, okay? And then hardware experiments, for example, for your engineering student fellow students, they're using fidget board. And you guys, if we were running this course in person, we would have used the Android tablets. But now we just modify the curriculum a little bit so you can focus more on the computational thinking. It's only meant to be a way to have you engaged. So that's only for you to get some fun out of it. However, I would say don't lose the focus. The focus for this course is really about developing problem-solving skills and also programming. Given a problem, can you write a Java code or method to solve it? That's a very important question, right? So by the end of the course, ask yourself, if you got some real-life problem there, are you able to translate that into Java and implement the working solution? That's a very important learning outcome for you. Okay, it will be a course for you to acquire solid computational thinking and programming skill. Can you easily do well? I would say as long as you keep up with the weekly lectures, Q&A, and also tutorials, you should be all right. Okay. Okay, finally, let me just mention some study tips for you. So you want to plan steady and also gradual study off. So you can see every week you got about 2 hours of lecture and also about about 90 minutes to 2 hours of Java tutorial videos. So together you can get easily 4 hours of videos to watch. I would say it may not be so recommended to really allocate 4 hours of your time and then watch them continuously, because you do need time to really digest from chunks to chunks of the video. So I would suggest try to maybe watch maybe about between 30 minutes to 40 minutes every day, or maybe 1 hour maximum every day. So you will be able to digest the materials before the next day when you start again. Okay, that'll be my suggestion. And always ask questions. So the Q&A will be a very nice forum for you to ask questions. But if you just cannot attend due to whatever reason, you can get in touch with me or schedule appointments, or maybe just get in touch. And then I would say one way to really keep track of your study would be take some notes, right? Since you got all the materials in front of you, so why don't you have a notebook and then maybe try to take some notes. Whenever you got any insight or any confusion about certain things, why don't you write it down? And then it will be very good for your review purpose, either for the test or for the exam. All right. Finally, general tips about studying in a university. You guys are still just the first year. This is only your second course for the semester for the first year, second course. However, I would like to tell you something about what you might find out eventually anyway. So to do well, inspiration is more important than perspiration. What does that mean? That means working hard is really important, because if you don't work hard, there's no way for you to struggle and then grow intellectually. However, working hard doesn't necessarily really mean you will succeed. That's kind of mean to say. But I would say when you are doing a computer science course, it's really important to really know what you're doing. And that if you're really struggling with a particular concept, you shouldn't just let go so easily. You should really try to speak to your instructor or try to find out exactly how things work. That'll be very important. Okay. Perspiration over here simply means hard work. That means to work hard. Okay. And then, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Hard work does not necessarily guarantee success. No success is possible without hard work, right? It's a very cliche, but I think that's quite true. Okay, so now I would say, don't be too satisfied by just the fact that you're working hard. I think everybody's working hard. That's really important. I try to work hard to give you as much as I can to help you learn. I think that you also try very hard for your lectures and tutorials, but I think that's only the beginning step, right? What will be the next? You want to make sure you really master all the ground stuff, all the basics, right? All the examples, all the concepts that we talk about in the lectures, but you might just want to stay curious about things. So for example, you want to really curious about doing something extra. So the coding bed is just one example. So this contains many good examples about Java. You can try to start with that. And then there will be many methods for you to implement those. That's one resource, okay? And be curious about how why things work and the way they do. So for example, when you really struggle with the lab, right? Of course, you want to work out a solution. But the wrong question to ask, either me or the TA, is how exactly to solve it, right? What should I type? That's definitely the wrong question to ask. What you really want to ask is, so I'm really struggling with here. Can you give me some guidance? Can you give me some tip? So to move me a little bit forward, so I can gradually lead to the solution myself, right? So that's be curious. Always reflect to see where you are. Always think about when we talk about, for example, if statements, how is that related to the previous topics that we talk about, right? Always reflect. All right, final reference for you. And I think your fellow student have a very good conclusion here. Basically, the whole slide here means just study, right? But beyond just study, you want to think more about what you have studied. So this is not just true for this course, but for every other course, right? Guys, I would like to point out just one more reference for you, and then I'll see if there's any more questions. Otherwise, we are done, all right? So if you go to the lecture site, you can see we got the pointer for the tutorial series for every week, right? It's going to be expanded on a weekly basis. There is another weekly tutorial video which I created for your fellow student in winter 19. So this is completely optional, but I would suggest for those of you who may want to do a little bit more extra exercise, so that will be there for you, okay? If you click on that, it's basically a complete series of Java tutorial videos. You're not supposed to watch them all, of course not, right now. But for every week in the lecture, I suggested about which videos you may want to watch just to get some extra done. It's kind of completely your call, right? It's up to you. All right, guys, I think that's about what I want to say for today. Do you have any more questions about the course or anything before I call it a day?
I have a question.
Please.
So when we're writing our code for Java,
yeah,
like, are we allowed to use like visual, like code, code visualizers? Like, okay.
Oh, I mean, code visualizer. What do you mean? I'm not too sure what you meant actually.
So there are like, you just type in your code and it shows you like step by step what your code is actually doing. Is that allowed or?
Okay, so let's say on Eclipse, you're saying when you're typing your code, you can actually, I'm sorry, I'm still don't quite get you. So if you can just explain to me a little bit more.
I think it might be easier if I just share my screen or something.
Are you, you know what? I'm not too sure if I, are you able to share right now?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. If you can share, just go ahead.
Okay. So
I'm not sure if I can give,
something like,
yeah, go ahead.
oh, it says.
Oh, not permitted, right? You know, how about this? Maybe drop by my office hour, and then you can show it to me. And then if that's worth sharing everybody, I'll share that with your fellow students. How about that?
Oh, yeah. So it's like, yeah, things like that, or searching up syntaxes if you don't know syntaxes. Like
oh, absolutely, that's fine. That's fine. So, oh, you know what? It's a very good question here. So, guys, I would say it would be completely reasonable for the very first one, maybe first 2 weeks, that you constantly forget to put semicolon. You constantly forget how to spell the word char for character, or Boolean, or how to spell string. The kind of common syntax, it's completely understandable for the first 2 weeks. But I would say after doing exercises, after doing tutorials, after the first 2 weeks, I think those kind of errors should really go away. Okay. Because once you bypass the stage about making syntax error, you have to move on to the next stage, which is about you might be easy for you to make some type error, but hopefully that can also go away very soon. And then eventually you'll get to what professional programmers also suffer from, which is about making logical error. I'm not a very good professional programmer, but at least I can teach you the principles. But I would say even for people working in the industry, they don't really write any code that's bug free, so they can always suffer from logical error. So how can you really minimize the presence of logical errors? You have to how to think logically. So that's something I'll try to show you as much as possible. Right. All right, guys. Any more questions?
Yeah. So in the chat, I just posted the link to the thing that I was supposed to screen share.
Oh, really? Okay. Sure. Let me take a look.
Yeah.
Okay, the show. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's not like it doesn't give you any code. It's like you coding yourself, and it just, yeah.
It's interesting. I can look at the.
So it's on Python 3.8. But you can change it to Java. So on the scroll down.
Scroll down.
It says it's writing code in Python 3.8. Change that to Java.
Interesting.
And then yeah. So I mean, like you're still coding everything, but it's gonna help you visualize. And I'm not sure if we're allowed to use something like this.
It's a very good question. I'm just curious about. Although it doesn't show me interesting. I think this one also shows you okay, that one there. And then just show you how that one gets executed, right? You know what's interesting? I haven't seen this tool before. Thanks for sharing with
then
us.
you press next.
I think this is very similar to the idea about a debugger, okay? I think very nice. I would say we can continue with discussion later. It seems to me it's just a way to show you how exactly the code is executed. And you are going to learn about, possibly in week number 2 or 3, the Java tutorial, the use of the so-called debugger. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna look into this a little bit more. If I got anything to share with your fellow student, I'll do so. But you're going to learn about something called debugger in Java. And this will be highly recommended that you will actually stick to this tool, which means, let's say later on, once you get to week number 5 and 6, if you're writing a program that has complicated loops, but you simply don't know why your code simply doesn't generate the correct output, in that case, just by manually inspecting your code by eyes, it's not going to work out. In this case, you do need you can think about visualizer, and also it's really the debugger that you want to get used to. So this will be the tool that I'll recommend you use. So we'll get there maybe later. I think that might be what you're talking about. So the answer is yes. I think that you will need to you will need some tool to really help you. On the other hand, yeah, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, so we're allowed to use things like that, like a visualizer, just this.
Yeah, you're allowed to use it. I would say in the very beginning, if you use a tool that's different from Eclipse, sure, go ahead. If that helps you. But I would say it would be nice if you can just stick to Eclipse eventually, right? So I'm going to show you the debugger later to see how you can program your Java code and how you can trace it eventually, and then you will hopefully can stick to it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Guys, any more questions? Any more? All right, so I think for many of you, this might be the only time I will see you this time, because many of you may not come to the Q&A, but that's okay. But I think the Q&A will be optional, but I highly recommend you to come to ask questions, and then hopefully that'll benefit you. All right. Final call. Any more questions about the course?
I just have one more question.
Please.
For the lab 0 that we have,
Lab 0,
task 3. Does it have to do with the videos that you posted? So like, do we have to watch the videos first and then do task 3?
That's correct. So basically, for your lab number 0, if you look at the instruction there on the eClass site, that one expect you to follow through the Java tutorials for week number 1 from part A to part F. And then at the end, it's going to ask you to export your Java project into an archive file, like a zip file. And then you're going to submit that file for grading. So that's for your lab 0.
Okay, thank you.
Good, good. All right. From Armin, when is the Q&A? The Q&A starting from next week, all right, for your weekly lecture. It will be Monday and also Tuesday, right? Monday and also Tuesday, 2:30 p.m. The normal time. So I think depending on how many questions you guys might have, so it can run up to 2 hours, all the way to 4:30 possibly. If not, it can be just half an hour, 1 hour, depending on how many questions you have. Okay.
And we can attend any Q&A we want as well?
Correct. You can attend either one of them. You can attend one of them. You can attend both of them. It's okay. Yeah, I don't check any attendance for the Q&A session. I'm not sure if Michael or Amir actually check them, but anyway, so everybody's different, right? But for me, to me, I think if you find the Q&A useful, please come, and then that might just help you clarify your thoughts about the programming, about the concept. Guys, any more questions? Any more? All right, if nothing else, I would say if you got any more questions related to the course running, please write me an email. I'll try to clarify with you. Otherwise, I think today I have covered everything I wanted to cover about how the course is run and why we need this course. And I'm going to publish the recording tonight after I process that. And then tomorrow, I don't think there will be another Q&A, right? I'm just going to write an announcement because it's going to be more or less the same thing. So you don't need to join the session. You can just watch the recording. So starting from next Monday and Tuesday, we'll start running the Q&A to answer your question. And how long does the Q&A run usually? I would say, again, it can be up to 2 hours. But if you guys don't have many questions for that week, it could be 30 minutes. It could be 1 hour. For example, for the Q&A I held for 3311 student last term, we got 2 Q&A every week. Each one of them is about 90 minutes. So I would say we can save about 1 hour to 90 minutes. If you guys require maybe more time, I'm happy to go until 2 hours. That's okay. All right, final words. I think you guys can now just go ahead and plan your time and do your work. Finish the lab 1. Finish the week 1 tutorial. Okay, let me just highlight. Finish the Java tutorial first, and then submit by Friday, and then finish your week 1 lecture and plan your time, and then try to do steady work. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming, and then I will see you a lot in the coming weeks. And take care. I'll see you soon.